y'all, and welcome back to Skyrim Scripting. This is episode 4 in our 5-episode series of getting you set up quickly with a full mod authoring setup. And in this episode, we're going to get you set up with a text editor for writing the Skyrim scripts themselves. So let's get started. Alright, we'll be using this for reference, so you'll find it in the video description notes. So first we want VS Code. This is going to be our text editor. There's a number of text editors that you can use for Bethesda Skyrim scripting, but I found that this is by far has the most advanced features. So this may pull up a black screen. I don't remember when I run the installer. Looks like so far so good. Install this wherever. I highly recommend add open with code. You're definitely going to want these. It makes it a lot easier to open up other people's mods, right click on their mod folder and browse all of their mod scripts. Incredibly useful. And if you don't have another text editor for code that you're currently using and prefer, check register code as an editor for supported file types. And as soon as this installs and launches, we're going to go ahead and quickly install 2 of its extensions. First of all, obviously the one for Skyrim scripting for the Papyrus language. I'm going to choose the light just because it works better for screencasts. So we're going to File, Preferences, Extensions. Search in this box, Papyrus, P-A-P-Y-R-U-S. We want the first option. Make sure it's the one by Joel Day. Install that one. And it's wonderful. Now you should see a little scroll doohickey that showed up over here. But go back to Preferences, Extensions, and we're also going to install the Workspace Explorer. That will allow you to just quickly switch back and forth between all of your mods that you're authoring. So we want this one by Tom Saunders, and we're good. Now we're going to tell both of these extensions where our mods are. So if you remember, on my system, I have my mods in C Skyrim Mods. You can have this mod folder anywhere you would like, but you should have one folder where you keep all of your mods. So we're going to File, Preferences, Settings. And let's configure the Papyrus extension first. Just do Papyrus and type in Skyrim because it also has settings for Fallout as well. Scroll down until you see Mod Directory Path and just paste in your path to the mod folder. You don't need to hit save or anything. It saves as you type it. And then the next thing is Workspace Explorer. Type in Workspace Explorer and you'll find a Workspace storage directory. You also want this to be your mod path. And now we're done with Visual Studio Code. For now, we can go ahead and close out of it. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the Visual Studio Code kind of folder where that extension lives, and we're going to replace 2 of its template files that it uses when it creates a new mod project. So we're headed over to C. We're headed over to your user. So C, users, your user, and go into the .vs code directory and then extensions, and then find the Joel Day Papyrus Lang VS Code. It'll be whatever is the latest version. And in here, we are going to replace some template files and resources, but we're also going to upgrade the version of Pyro, which is integrated. Pyro is what backports Fallout 4 Papyrus project files to Skyrim, which allows VS Code to easily build Papyrus projects. So we are going to download Pyro really quickly. So look for Pyro Skyrim. You'll probably end up on its GitHub. If you end up on the Nexus is no longer being updated. So scroll down until you find the GitHub. Or you could just search for Skyrim Pyro GitHub. And now once you're there, go over to the releases and we will download the latest release. So scroll down and then find Assets, open this up. You don't want the source code, you want the latest Papyro zip file. So we'll save that. We'll open it up. And I'm going to open up this side by side with my Joel Day folder for VS Code extensions. So I'm going to open up this Pyro folder and I'm going to delete everything in it. If we open up this Pyro zip file, you can see the files are almost the same, but there's more in the new version. We're going to delete this and we're going to pull this over. Cool. And packaging won't work if we don't set that up. And I forgot to show you, put packaging on the background for this episode because this also does packaging. head on into resources, go into SSE. There's two files we're going to replace in here. One is Skyrim se.ppj and the other is tasks. So open up that ppj, just double click on that, open it up in VS Code, and we are going to delete all of this. Now when we open this up, we do see one thing up here about trusting Windows for features. We want to click Manage. This is important. If you don't see this, go ahead and go into your Skyrim Special Edition folder, go into Data, go into Scripts, go into Source, and click on any one of these files. I'll show you. Just click on any one of these files. You'll want to associate it with Visual Studio Code, and you should get that same trust window. So we're going to manage it. You can set up folders here for where you want to allow Visual Studio Code to run extensions. So you could allow this to run just in your mods folder, and maybe in your Skyrim Special Edition folder, and maybe in your downloads folder if you want to browse mods from your downloads folder. My personal setup and I guess recommendation is add folder, and I just choose my C drive, and so I won't ever get this prompt again because it's kind of annoying, and I hit trust. I don't install extensions that I don't trust. And we can close out of these and close out of Visual Studio Code, close this directory, which you may or may not have opened, and we're going back to this ppj. Open that up. Delete it. Delete all the content. Now go to the video description and find this gist file. This is GitHub gist. It's a place where you can put snippets. So it's got all of this. You can just use your mouse to copy this, or if you find it easier, you can click this little raw button, and then you can Control A, Control C to copy all of it. Now back in Visual Studio Code, we are just going to paste it and save, and we're done with that. And now open up the tasks.json. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to delete it. Back in this gist, there is content for the tasks.json. Also, you can use the raw to copy if you would prefer. I'll just right click here and copy and paste this in and save. And now we're done. We updated the Pyro, and we updated these two things. And now we're up and running and ready for Visual Studio Code. Let me decide if I want to show you how to make a mod with this. I do want to show you how to make a mod, and I also need to make sure that we install Skse. So let's do Skse first because it's required for the debugger, which we will be using and installing in just a moment. So search for Skse. You'll find it here. Make sure that you download the special edition build. It'll be another 7-zip archive. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. It has inside of it a wonderful README that tells you how to install it, and specifically has some notes about mod authors, but I won't read through that. Instead, I'm going to open up my Skyrim Special Edition folder, not the data directory, the top level Special Edition folder with Creation Kit and Skyrim SE, and I'm going to select the two DLLs in here, the Skse and the Steam Loader, and then the Steam Loader executable, and I'm going to copy them over here. And next, I'm going to my mods folder. And inside the mods folder, right click and make a new folder. Make a mod called Skse64 and open up that directory. In there, we're going to paste what's inside the data directory. It's a scripts folder. Pull it over. Great, now we're good. Close out of that, close out of that. Let's open up mod organizer 2. And if we have multiple instances, make sure that you switch to your authoring instance that we made in the previous episode. I'm going to go ahead and pin this to my taskbar. Cool, yeah, my last episode is uploading into Dropbox. That's cool. Let's have Visual Studio Code install the debugging extension. Run Visual Studio Code just from the Start menu, so I'm just going to hit Start Code. It may have some existing files open. We don't really care. Do we care? We do need to set this up for a Skyrim project. Okay, sure. Let's make this mod first. Close out of that. Take it back. let's pretend we're making a mod. For every mod, we make a new profile, do the drop down, manage, and hit create. I'll make a mod that prints out a message every time the player picks something up, and I'll call it pickup lines. So I'll call it pickup lines because it says a line every time they pick something up. Ta-da! Cool. I'm going to use the default game's INI settings, and I'm going to uncheck use profile specific game INI settings, and I'm going to click yes, and I'm going to select. And after I've done that, I'm going to go to Tools, Tool Plugins, INI Editor, and it's hard to see on the screen unless you're probably choosing the HD, but we need to look for Papyrus in here. And when you find Papyrus, set enable logging from 0 to 1, enable trace from 0 to 1, and for the debugger we also need this, load debug information from 0 to 1, and hit save. Cool. Now we're done with the INI file, and we've set up a profile for our mod. Now let's create the mod. Right click, create empty mod, put in pickup lines. That will make a new folder inside of our mods folder for pickup lines. Now we need to tell CreationKit that when it runs, that it should, and you should have CreationKit under this menu. If you don't, close Mod Organizer 2 and reopen it. Same with Skse. After you install Skse or CreationKit, close Mod Organizer 2 and reopen it, and it'll automatically find those options. So we're going to edit, and what we do is we tell CreationKit to create all of its files inside of pickup lines or whatever mod that you are creating. And once we've done that, we can run CreationKit. If we do it without checking that little box over there next to our mod, it'll complain, so check that little box next to your mod and hit run. You should see that white box. That tells you that the CreationKit fixes is running. If you do not see this white box, restart your computer and then do this again. If you still do not see this white box, go back to our CreationKit episode and make sure that you, in your Skyrim Special Edition directory, installed the Skyrim 64 test INI and these 3 DLL files. You absolutely want these fixes to run. Don't worry about all these scary buttons in the editor. If you haven't used it before, it's fine. Don't worry about it. What we're going to do is we're going to hit the save button. We will put in the name of our mod. If we hit save, note that it's saved inside of the Skyrim Special Edition directory, the data directory. Do not browse to your mod folder. It'll choose the Skyrim Special Edition data folder, save it there. Do not try and browse to your mod folder and save it there. The way that Mod Organizer 2 works is it already saved that ESP Elder Scrolls plugin file that CreationKit just made in our mods folder. You do not tell CreationKit to do it. Do not. So we are going to character quest. You don't have to worry about what I'm doing right now. I'm going to make a quest called Pickup Lines Quest. I'm going to click OK and then reopen it. You never edit your quest without and I don't have Skyrim loaded. That's maybe fine. Let's open up Skyrim. You have to hit this little open folder, go to Skyrim, and hit OK. Save changes to plugin file, yes. And it should load up. Now we open up that quest we just made. You can't find it, use this little filter up here, because otherwise character quest will show every quest in the game. So filter by pickup lines. We are going to go over to, if dialog views does not work for you, if it throws an error, then follow those instructions in the CreationKit episode for registering the Flowchart X64 DLL. We're going on over to quest alias. We're going to right click new reference alias. We're going to name it player ref, REF. So this is player ref. We will go to fill type, specific reference, select forced reference, cell any, and then it will pre-populate this ref dropdown with player ref. If it doesn't, you can choose it from this dropdown. We are going to add a new script to this project so that we can edit it with the Visual Studio Code Editor. And I'll make sure we do debugging in this episode too. You can call this pickup lines player script, and it should extend a reference alias. That's what it has to extend. No questions asked. And that box will go away, and we can click OK, and we can click OK, and we can save. and we can exit creation kit. We're done with it for our mod. If we go to our mod folder, we can find pickup lines. An ESP file was created. If you're interested, in the next episode, we could change this to, we could flag it as an ESL so it does not impact your user's 255 plugin limit. But right now, we're not doing that. It created a scripts directory with a PEX file. We'll learn how to decompile that in the next episode. And a source file. But what we're going to do before we try and edit our script is we're going to turn this whole directory into a Papyrus project that's based off of the Fallout 4 Papyrus project files. So open up Visual Studio Code. It may open up some files that you were editing. You don't care about them. Go to the Papyrus scroll, click the 3 dots, generate Skyrim Special Edition project files, and then browse to your mod folder, so pickup lines, and then select that folder. It says that the project files were installed to pickup lines. If we were to look there, we can see that it created a PPJ. This is based off the template that we made, a VS Code directory with a task.json and launch. This is based off the template that we updated, and a code workspace. You can double click this code workspace to open it. You can go to File, Open Workspace, and browse to it to open it. Or you can go to the Explorer and Workspaces, expand this, and it will show all of your mods. I usually put this at the top up here because it'll show a listing of all of the mods in the mod folder, and you can really easily open up any one of them and click Skyrim Special Edition. This will only be available if you initialize this as a Skyrim Special Edition project using the scroll triple dot generate menu. So we'll go over there, use Explorer, open up pickup lines, and what we end up with is we can see our script source. Here's the script that gets created for us. You can, just to make sure that things are working, go to terminal run build task, and you should see this. Import does not exist. Aha! If you followed my instructions to install Skyrim Special Edition not in program files, you may have earlier noticed a bug in the project files that we were creating, and you may have fixed it yourself. If not, go over to C. Sorry, I memorized a lot for this episode, but I didn't memorize everything. Sorry. Go to C, Users, Your User, VS Code, Extensions, the Joel Day extension, go back into Resources, go back into SSE, go back into the PPJ file, and here, you can just search this file for program files. You'll find this. It's the full path to Skyrim. Make it wherever you installed Skyrim. It should link to the Skyrim Special Edition data scripts source directory. Save this file, close Visual Studio Code. Open up tasks.json and do the exact same. This one just has double slashes, so make sure that you abide by these double slashes. Wherever there's a slash in the path, we're going to save that as well. And now what we're going to do is go into our mod folder. If you also followed along with me and made the same mistake, we're deleting our PPJ, we're deleting our code workspace, and we're deleting VS Code. You might be able to guess why, because now we're going to open up Visual Studio Code, and we're going back to the scroll. We're going back to the triple dots. We're going to generate Special Edition project files. We're browsing back to our directory. We're browsing to pickup lines again, selecting the folder, and we're going to use the Explorer workspace to get to it. And now that we're there, we can just terminal run build task and hopefully not get an error this time. And it's compiling our script. Great. If we were to add some gibberish to this script, so if you don't have the script open, find it in scripts source PSC. If you try and open up the PEX, it will not open. That is a compiled binary file. Go to the PSC. If you type some gibberish in here and Control S save, and then run terminal run build task, I'm going to run it with Control Shift B. We'll see compilation failed, and you can read the message there. If we get rid of that gibberish and Control S save and Control Shift B, then we will not get a failure. So I'll actually make this do something. I'll make it log so I can show you the logger, and we will make it debug as well. So you're going to want to get to know creationkit.com as a Skyrim mod author. When you load it up, go to the left for Skyrim, not the right for Fallout, and then you want to go to the scripting reference on the left, and then this is a wonderful guide. There's a wonderful guide to the scripting language and all sorts of things. Normally, I want to go to this subcategory events, which shows all of the events available in the game. So for example, if I want something to happen when the player dies or another actor dies, there's an on-death event, or on-player bow shot, when someone takes a shot with a bow. In this case, I want something to happen whenever someone picks up an item, so I grab this on item added. I won't go over exactly what the syntax does. I do it in the full screencast series. So I'm just going to paste in this code. It will allow us to do something when the player picks up an item. So in this case, I will debug.trace to the papyrus log. We turned that on in the ini file. Make sure that's on. Hello, the player picked up and AI item count and some number of and then the thing that they picked up, aka base item. So I won't actually show the name of the item. If you really wanted to, this is something I shouldn't show in this mini quick series, but I'll show you. This PBJ file has a section for imports. You can read more about that at the official creationkit.com documentation for Papyrus project PBJ files, or on the Pyro website itself, which you should be able to get to from the Pyro GitHub, and it talks a little bit about imports. If we wanted to import Skyrim script extender, for example, we could just go to our mods folder, go to Skyrim script extender. You don't import the mod folder itself. What you look for is the script source directory that has those PSC files, and that is the directory that you import. And so I'm just going to use control the / key to comment or uncomment this line of the configuration. You can set it up, you can change the name of your mod. We'll call ours pickup lines in a moment. And you can just paste in this directory and hit save. And now you'll get special extra things. If you start typing right after that happens, it takes maybe about 10-20 seconds for the typing to start working again. There we go. Now you can get the name of items, which we weren't able to do before without importing Skse, because the ability to get a name of an item actually requires Skse. It's one of the reasons why mod authors use and love Skse. So that's a trace statement. I just want an extra line of code here that the debugger will use. Item name equals aka base item dot get name, and then we'll just make this item name. Cool. I want to see this print out, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to Control-Shift-B, and we're going to head over to Mod Organizer 2, and we're actually going to run this. But first, we need to install the debugger. So go to this little play button, the little play one with the bug. You should see up here Skyrim SE. Hit the little play button. It will ask you to install the Skse plugin. You have to have configured the settings Papyrus Skyrim mod directory setting for this to go to the right place. Hit install Skse plugin. Now if we go over to Mod Organizer 2 and refresh our list of plugins, we'll see that the debug extension is available. Click on it, and also we'll enable Skyrim Special Edition 64 while we're here. Sure, that should be enough. We can close this. From Mod Organizer 2, select Skse. This won't work if we run it with Skyrim Special Edition. We need a Skse, and enable your ESP. We're doing so much and doing it so quickly. 24 minutes. Oh no, I wanted this whole thing to be under an hour. We'll be close to it. When this comes up, you want to allow access. If you don't click that, you can probably close Skyrim and run it again to get the same prompt. You need allow access for the debugger and log viewer to work. So I'll go ahead, and as soon as the game is at the main menu, you can go to Visual Studio Code, go into this area. So if you're at your code, go into the bug area and hit the play button. Now that we've installed the extension, it's going to connect. If you didn't hit that allow, you will not be able to connect. You can make sure it's connected just by seeing this little thing, and the Debug Console should come up. If you don't see the Debug Console, go to View, Debug Console. I'm going to put it down here and zoom out a little bit so that it shows up under the Skyrim. And I'm just going to COC to Riverwood. You can see it's already printing out a bunch of stuff. And watch it carefully. It should... it got overwritten by other things. I'm going to my items, I'm going to apparel, I'm going to drop my boots and my gauntlets and my helmet and my shield. And now as I pick up these items, you can see in the log below, hello, the player picked up iron boots, iron gauntlets, iron shield, and we can print whatever we want to the logs. And this is a wonderful way to look at the logs. You can always disconnect at any point during game time, and you can always reconnect, and it'll stop and start showing the logs. If we went back to the system main menu, quit main menu, and COC Riverwood again to see all those tons of logs print out. COC Riverwood. It'll print out a bunch of logs. We are looking for just hello, the player picked up. You can use this wonderful little filter and just type something like hello, and it'll show us just our log messages. So we're going to disconnect from this. We're going to close Visual Studio Code. We're going to quit out of this. And we're done with Mod Organizer 2 for now. What we need to do next is we're going to show you how to use the debugger. Now, using the debugger requires Vortex for it to work. So we're going to open up Vortex. Cool, 27 minutes. This will always come up if you've modified mods outside of Vortex, like in Mod Organizer 2 or on the file system. It's fine. Vortex is basically saying like, hey, you changed stuff without me, why? And you always want to apply changes. It's perfectly normal. It will happen all the time. I don't know of a setting to disable that pop-up, but if you know one, add it to the video description, add it to the comments. So head on over to mods. Now this should show the same mods that you have for Mod Organizer 2 because we're using the same mod folder. If you see a number of duplicate items that say never installed, ignore those. It's just a side effect of Mod Organizer 2 and Vortex sharing the same folder for downloads. Don't worry about it. You'll see them for basically every mod in your download folder. Don't worry about it. So what Vortex does is it actually modifies the data folder. This is not something that Mod Organizer 2 does. So if you go to Skyrim Special Edition and go inside the data folder, I'm going to enable our pickup lines mod. Let me show the scripts directory so you can see a change happen to it. I'll turn on pickup lines. And we get our pickup lines player script. It'll show up inside source amongst the 13,910 files. And you can also find pickup lines here because it added it. And you can easily disable it to pull it out of the data folder. Vortex is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's the best application that exists for managing your data folder. Mod Organizer 2 makes no changes to your data folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on pickup lines, CR1 script. We'll turn on Skse 64. You should see like, I don't know, 60 some odd script or 40 get added. Tons, which is wonderful. And then back in the data directory, if I turn on the Papyrus debug extension, we'll see an Skse 64 directory show up, which has a plugins directory, which has the debugger in there. So as a side effect of copying our entire pickup lines mod into this folder, it actually moved the code workspace file in here. So open up the code workspace file. Just double click on this. Now when you're in this code workspace, never go to terminal, run build task. No, don't do it. And don't Control-Shift-B. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. Never. It'll like try and recompile the whole game, and then you'll probably want to go and delete all of the PEX files that it generated. If you ever do that by accident, go into Data, Scripts, and probably delete all the PEX files in there that probably got generated. So what we want to do is, here's the whole data folder. This has our scripts. We can see our pickup lines script. These are the PEX versions. If we go into source, here are the 13,910, and now look at that, we have pickup lines, 911 files. It's going to be hard to find pickup lines in this list, so you can use Control P and just start typing pickup, and you'll see some of your files like the ESP, the PEX, and you want the PSC. So here we are. We found this in the entire data directory. You need to be in the data directory for the debug breakpoint feature to work. So what I'm going to do now is, to the left of the line numbers, to the left of them, there's these little red dots. Go so that there's a red dot and click. Let's just add one to each of these lines. This will add a breakpoint. What that means is, when the Skyrim engine reaches this line of code in the plugin virtual machine, it will cause Skyrim to pause entirely, and it will let us observe some of these variables. So we are now going to run Skyrim not using Mod Organizer 2. We're going to run it either via Vortex. You can go to the dashboard and run it via, let me open this up a little bit, run it via Skyrim script extender here with the little plus button. Or you can just go to the Skyrim Special Edition directory and run Skse 64 loader itself. Doesn't matter what you do. Just run it with Skyrim 64. Skyrim Skse 64. Now that it's at the main menu, we can connect to it. I'll actually wait. Let's see Riverwood. This will give you a better demonstration. Alright, here I am, some random dude that gets put into Riverwood. I'm going to drop some potions. There's a bunch of potions. Cool, we're going to pick them up. If I pick up one of them now, nothing happens. So let's go over to Visual Studio Code, go to that little play button, and hit the play button. It connected, which is wonderful, and we have a Debug Console. Stay on this PSC file. Now you can do this across tons of different PSC files, and that is fine. You can always see your full list of breakpoints that are set down here in the lower left. So let's pick one up. The game is paused. The game is paused, and you can see a yellow line appeared up there. Let's switch over to Visual Studio Code. Now what we ended up with is this paused. There's a play button, and we have these local variables over here. We can see that the current object is the pickup lines player script, which is wonderful, which inherits from a reference alias. For coders out there, if you start expanding these, it doesn't show a whole lot, so you're going to want to use local variables. We can see all of the arguments that got passed to this function. So we can see the base item is a form, and we see its form ID. We see the item count, so we picked up one thing. We see that neither the source container nor item reference are set to anything. The item name variable, this line of code, has not run yet. That's what this means. So I'm going to hit the play button so that it runs. Now, sometimes this will happen. For this to run, you need to Alt-Tab back over the game so that the game engine has an opportunity to run, and then switch right back over. It's still in that line of code. Hit play again. And now it's executed that line of code, and we can see that this is a potion of minor stamina. Now you can always, if you want to, just break out of this, just close it. I can start picking up some more items, and then I can run around the game, set up some kind of scenario that I want to debug, and then when I'm ready, just go over here and connect again, and trigger the action that will trigger the breakpoint. And here we are, we can see it, we can click through. It's going to need us to Alt-Tab to the game to execute, and then when it plays, we'll see in the item name over there, it says Potion of Resist Fire. Ta-da! Cool. That's kind of it. I closed out of Visual Studio Code there. I needed some more tea. And there we go. Now, the last thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to go to Vortex. This is very important. And you're going to want to disable, disable, disable Now here's a strange gotcha that's a slight annoyance, but it works. It's fine. Let's open up Visual Studio Code, and let's go back to our workspace for pickup lines. If you want to make a change to the script, like while you're running the game, the way that you're going to have to do that is, let's add these back to the game. I didn't think I would show this, but it's super required. Super got to show you. And then we're done. And I'll go to the next episode and install a bunch of tools, and then we're totally done and you are ready to mod. So I'm going to run this with the Skse loader. Bum, bum. Once it hits the main menu, I'm just going to load up the debugger. Now let's run VS Code again. Let's run this from the data directory, so open workspace, data, here. So we're in the data directory with the 13,000 files. Here's our thing. Let's remove the breakpoints, and we're just going to use the, no, we'll keep the breakpoints. That's the whole point. Okay. Ba-ba-bum, 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 bum, bum, da-da-da, da-da-da. It's probably going to automatically trigger, oh, if I had it connected, which I don't. Let's drop a thing. Pick up a thing. Triggers. Now, what I'll probably end up wanting to do is I'm going to want to change this code, and I'll just change like what it prints out. If I hit play, I'll tab back to the game, I'll tab back to Visual Studio and play. Watch that Debug Console down here. One more play. The player picked up Potion of Minor Magicka. Let's change that. Now if we want to change that, what I'll do is I'll disconnect. I'll go to Vortex. I'll pull out pickup lines. It won't work unless we stop and start the game. I thought it would. I've never tried it while the game was running. I've never tried it while the game was running, and I wanted to try it. But still, we go to code. We go to our workspace, which is not in the data directory. It's our mods directory. We go to our script. We say, we changed this. We compile it. Then we push it back in to the data directory. Then from VS Code, we open up the workspace that's in the data directory. I just usually go to the data directory because I always have it in my quick bar, and I go to the code workspace. Now there's we changed this. Run the game again. I'm going to do it from the dashboard just because. If you make changes and try and compile them when you're doing this and while you're doing breakpoints, it's not going to work that well. Let's drop a bunch of items. Cool, I dropped a bunch of stuff. Let's connect the debugger. Boop, boop, boop. Now, I didn't really change anything that impacts the debugging, but whatever. I'll hit play. It'll ask us to tab back to the game so the engine runs, and I'll hit play a couple times, and if we look in the Debug Console, we should see we changed this hello. You kind of need to remember whenever you make a change to a mod that you're debugging to pull it out of the game. I'll probably make an episode at some point showing how to recompile just like one project file and use the debugger to make changes, but really if you want to see changes to your mod, you don't want to run with a debugger setup. You just want to run with Mod Organizer 2 normally. Just kick it off with Mod Organizer 2 normally. We're at 39 minutes, so I should stop, but I'll show you this one thing. We'll CLC Riverwood. I'll open up code. I'll go back to our project through the Explorer. We'll see this. Connect. There's the logs. Pick one up. If we want to change this live, save, build, compiling, compiled. This script is called pickup lines player script. So we'll do reload script, pickup lines player script. I'm typing this into the console. Now I'm going to go pick up an item and make sure that the debug console is visible. And connect to the debugger again. Come on, debugger. Don't do this to me. Not when I'm recording. Cool. I had hello in the filter, so it was only showing hello, but we got rid of hello. We said we're doing it live. So I'll type we're, and we'll see we're doing it live. And if I change this to we're, blah, 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 save build, go into the game, hit console, hit up to rerun that player script thingy, and I pick up another item. And I go to the debug console again. We're doing blah, 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 blah. Cool. I wanted to show you reload script because there's probably some folks out there who are not watching my full 12 episode series and are just watching the 5 episode series. And if you left without seeing how to do reload script, you would have a very sad Skyrim scripting experience. All right, so peace. Head on over to that video playlist. Next, we're going to show you how to install a variety of modding tools that you need to open and edit textures, meshes, audio files, the games themselves, INI files, Bethesda archives, and a bunch more. So head on over there. We're going to do that, and then we're closing out this 5 episode series with that. I hope you got set up with a really good environment here, and I hope you really liked it. I'll see you soon.